This Samsung TV has power. It's got a power light down here. I can hear the relay clicking, but it's nothing turning on. Alright, let's take it apart, see what happens. So the model number of it is PN43D450A2D. And you notice there's a lot of screws you have to take off. So you want to take off your outside screws first, all these around the edge. You may not have to take the stand off, so leave that in for now. And then you look for the little metal screws in between here. And there's normally two in between where your main digital board is. Now take all these screws off and we'll see what happens next. So here's your power supply. Your YSIS would be your buffer board. Your main digital board to be your controller board, I believe it's what it's called. And your Z board. And we want to look on here for any blown capacitors, which I've already looked and there's nothing on here. I'm going to take this board off. I'm going to check for some cold solder joint. Now when I was talking about cold solder joint, you'll see in the pin on your left, it's kind of got the little circle around the top where it peaks. Let's see if we can focus with this. There. So it's kind of like a crack. Same way it was here. And this is on a transistor or a MOSFET. And this is the kind of stuff that you're going to be looking for. And these got cold solder joints as well. Heat does not like lead-free solder. So when you have a bunch of lead-free connections on a power supply like this, you're bound to have solder joint problems. So look for lead for the cold solder joints. I'm going to solder these up and see if that takes care of the issue, and we'll go from there. Okay, obviously that did not fix the problem. I moved on to troubleshooting it. Up here you have VS, VA, and ground. I'm across VS and ground. With this board plugged in, your X, that basically shorts out to 0 volts. It tries to get up, but it can't. With it unplugged, you see it gets up to 200 volts. Okay, so my assumption is that board is bad. I'm going to take it out, check for any burned up transistors. You always want to make sure that your voltage is here drained out. Power is unplugged, but you still have voltage there. For test, watch the 12 volts, and I'm going to plug in this X board. Instantaneously 0 volts. Now this is charging up the capacitor, that's why you see it doing that. So I'm going to take this board off. You got to flip this connector up, pull him down. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws here. These here, this little white connector, it slides right up. And then you pull your little ribbon cable out carefully, don't rip it. Be gentle as much as possible. tore a little bit, but it's making contact with the go part. But I'm going to take these 4 screws off here, and we have 2 transistors here I want to take a look at. Now this is your X board. This is the bottom of it, and you want to check this guy here. These. Check them for the continuity. I'm going to start with the tab of it, and you'll go into a leg. You hear the beep. That means it's a direct short on both sides. I already checked these. I know these 6 here are bad. We'll check this one. And those are fine. So 6 of those little surface mount transistors are bad. At this point, versus the cost of replacing these here and whatever else might be bad in the circuit, you can go ahead and get a new board. It's already tested, so I'm going to just do that. And when I get the new board in, I'll do a continuation of this video. This kit in bn96-16510A, the repair kit from shopjimmy.com, and they give you 4 transistors and a chip, U4010, and it tells you the transistor numbers. And the transistor numbers will be on the board itself. So it starts out at 4002, 3, 4, and 5. Here's 5, 4, 2, and 3 would be right here. Okay, so I'm going to change this guy, that one, this one, and this one, plus the chip 4010, U4010, that's this chip right here. So these two, and this. The kit costs $24 or something versus paying $75 for a new board. So I'm gonna take these chips off, the transistors off. I'm gonna take that chip off and put the new parts on. You want to make sure the chip itself is going in the same direction as before. The chip had a circle on it, which you're not going to be able to, there you go, you can see it. And on the board itself, you see that. Okay, so that pin 1, you want to make sure you line that up according to that as well. Suppose you're probably wondering, how do you change these? Well, it's not going to be easy. Surface mount is never easy. So I'm going to do a rundown and find out where I'm at. Okay, so this is Q4 and this is Q5. This is Q4, this is Q5. I've already changed out Q3 and Q2. So what I do, add a glob of solder at the top, and I put more solder down on each leg of the transistor. You want to make sure you don't use lead-free solder, otherwise you're just going to have a lot of issues. Use leaded solder. And what you're going to do is, you're just going to heat this side up. You can get it nice and warm, and you go down here to the legs. And you're going to keep working it back and forth until you can physically move the transistor off the board. Now if you had a free hand, which I don't have, I could probably just pick this up with a pair of pliers. In fact, I'm just going to try this. Not sure you can see. And all I have right here is just a pair of wire cutters, so I'm going to use. And I'm done. So like I said before, you just want to go back and forth between each leg, top and bottom. Now that one's off. So you don't want to have too much solder, otherwise the pad is going to be too high for this. And you kind of want to make it a little bit flatter. And don't forget, you need to change this as well. If you don't know how to do surface mount soldering, don't bother with this. Just go ahead and spend the extra money, because you can potentially do more damage to the rest of the TV if you mess something up. I'm going to change this. I'm not going to demonstrate how I do it. So if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to damage the TV. You got the two transistors changed out. If you already know how to do surface mount, take this guy off next. Okay, I wasn't going to try to do this, but I actually have a pair of, they're called sunglass video cameras, and it's going to be like a hands-free deal for me. You can see this I am recording out of in the center of my face. So we're going to see how well that does. If it doesn't turn out too well, then I apologize. And here's the chip that I said I was not going to show how to do, because frankly, if you don't know how to do surface mount, you don't need to try this. I'm not sure how the video is going to turn out or anything. Sorry, I might not even be looking at it. Kind of wish it had an LED light that could show you. It's not that hard to do, but if you've never done surface mount, you probably will have a bit of a challenge to do this. You're gonna have steady hands, that's for sure. Get some solder in the middle leg. Solder there. Solder there. best soldering job, but it's better than nothing. And it'll work. Okay, so I replaced this guy, that one, and now the chip. And we're going to stick it back into the TV and see if that fixes the problem. And once you put those chips in and transistor, your TV will work again. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.